Hello. It is a little bit darker in this room than it usually is when I do these updates, but I need to just do it. So welcome to the Febrarch yarn wrap up. February plus March, Febrarch. Okay. February was a strange month. I feel like I went through this roller coaster of sort of like maniacally knitting and then being too sad to even want to pick up my knitting. Contextually, my husband went on a work trip for most of the month of February, and I do not enjoy that. So it was not the most fun month. And also, I didn't finish any objects in February, which just kind of added to the sadness. So I didn't film a February update. It is now the beginning of April, so March has completely happened, and I never got caught up with doing a February wrap up, so you're getting Febrarch. Okay, so things that I finished in February, nothing. I did complete the body of my Scorpio Wally Breton. So there's that. So I'm very excited about this. Obviously it still needs sleeves. So I finished a body of a sweater. I worked on many things during February. Okay, so things that were a work in progress that carried over from January. My Paul Klee, my Shifty, and then obviously the Scorpio Breton. And then I went kind of a little bit wild and I cast on 2 things in February. But let's talk about March so that I can stick with finished objects. March became the month of how many sleeves can I knit in March? And I was really hoping the answer would be 4. And technically the answer was 4. But I meant 4 long sleeves? No, 3? I meant 3. 3 sleeves in March. So when I finished February, I had not finished the body of the Shifty, and that was originally the goal. The goal was by the end of February to have both sleeves of the Paul Klee done. So Paul Klee was done. That was my January-February project. And then Shifty, I was supposed to have the body done so that March was sleeves and new projects. I got to the end of February, Paul Klee had 1 sleeve, and Shifty, I had not finished the body. This is behind. So I was like, made a plan, can I knit 3 sleeves in March? Turns out the answer is yes, but one of those sleeves ended up being a short sleeve. So by the end of March, I had completed the Paul Klee. I have not done ends or blocking on anything, right? So there is the yoke, and then we have all the sleeves and ribbing forever. There is so much ribbing on this sweater. So finished the Paul Klee, 1 sweater done in March. Excellent. I managed to get through the first sleeve, finished the body, first sleeve of the Shifty, and I had a strong start on the second sleeve, but the second sleeve technically came over until April. I'm going to show it to you anyway, because whatever, I make my own rules. So at this point, Shifty is also finished. here is the shifty. It is knit in the Skein and the Stitch Advent in Wonderland from 2024. And I started the Advent colors with the short rows. So I needed ribbon colors because I have plans for all the leftovers of the Advent colors and I didn't want to burn up a bunch of yardage doing the ribbing. So I pulled out of my Long Dog Yarn Princess Bride collection. Hello, my name is Yanigo Montoya. For the collar ribbing, and then on the hem of the bottom body, I used Only Mostly Dead. And then the sleeves take one more color repeat, the way I was doing the colors. Then there are colors in a 24 color Advent. So I had picked up this Golden Hour Knitwear mini set related to Alice in Wonderland. And I did the Only Mostly Dead with that as the last color repeat. And then I used the Golden Hour Knitwear as my cuff on the sleeves. So there's a little bit of like extra non-advent-y yarn in this sweater, but I kind of like the little dark border. And I think this turned out so good. Like the shifty pattern, if you look at it on Ravelry, is written, or anywhere, is written for light sport weight yarn. I used fingering weight yarn. And I did not change the needle size. So the texture of this sweater is going to be different than the pictures of the shifty look on Ravelry. But I still really love this, especially when I'm wearing it. It has not been blocked. So like, yeah. Right now it's a little 3-dimensional texture, and when I wear it, it goes a little more like 2-dimensional, showing the colors. So super happy with this. It has a really long tail because I'm not the best yet at estimating how much I need for a tubular find off. And I overestimated, which made the sleeves real tight. I used up every scrippy scrap of that Princess Bride colorway to knit that sweater. Okay, so that was a finished in March asterisks object. Then, yeah, we'll do it this way. Okay, so we'll say that's the end of finished objects, also with an asterisk. There's a lot of asterisks in Febrarch. Partially because it's already a week into April and I've rolled on. Okay, so new things that I cast on in February. What will be the pink and purple Ansadora. It is currently only pink because I have a selection of pinks and I have one pinky purple. So I'm doing like this combo way of knitting it. And I have a full skein of a pinky purple that I will use as the other color when we get out of the scrappy way and do the semi-scrappy way. So that is that. That is living in my hedgehog yarn hole. And this is like getting worked on as I have extra knitting time or I want something really small. It's not great for in the bath because there are too many ends and the fringe has gotten wet a couple of times. So we stopped doing that. Okay, the other thing I cast on in February is probably going to be kind of hard to show because it is a circle and it has grown to the point that it is scrunched up on the circly needles. So this is an anthology throw, and I am knitting it in Dye-Mad yarn, like tarot collection. So we have in the middle the colorway Cups and Pentacles, we have Wheel of Fortune, then we have Strength, and now I'm working on the Sun. So their collection is 2 colorways that cover the 4 suits, so Cups and Pentacles, and then the other colorway is Swords and Wands. And then every major arcana has a color. So I am knitting an anthology throw out of that. This progress was made across February and March. In February, I think I had just added Wheel of Fortune, the second colorway, in. I'll put in my last like work in progress Wednesday photo from February. And then new things I cast on in March. So my March project was an Aster tee in the Winnie the Pooh colorways. So this is my spring Seasons of Winnie the Pooh project for this year. So this is using Rather Boggy and Sad as the main color, and then we have Eeyore, Piglet, and I took from Stash, the blue color is Lavender Loon Apology that I used originally for a pair of socks, and it's going to show up in several projects this year. You will notice that this is finished. So this was supposed to be all done in March, but I was 1 sleeve short of that goal. So the shorty sleeve was the 3rd sleeve I did finish in March, and then I still had a shifty sleeve and an Aster tee sleeve to finish. We finished this also in the 1st week of April. So the 1st weekend of April, I finished the shifty and my Aster tee, which is very exciting. They're all done. Other things that I cast on in March. And obviously the anthology throw and the Ansadora are like work on them as I can projects, so they're just carrying forward. And then let's talk April plans. So in April, finished the pair of socks, and I have 2 new projects that I hope to both complete in April. They are short sleeve or no sleeves. So that is hopefully my saving grace. We'll find out. The first one is the summer installment of my Seasons of Winnie the Pooh, which all the colors I'm using are from Sarah's Volume 1 Winnie the Pooh collection, which I got originally as 2024 Advent sock sets, and then I added on in the pre-order that she did so I would have the amount of yarn I needed to do the projects I had thought of. Oh, this is getting fit crazy. Sorry, I have like supplies in this bag along with all the things. Okay, so this is, that's the wrong side, going to be, and it's very, very new, baby project. This is going to be a pavo tee, which has lace that looks like peacock feathers, and I am knitting it in a trap for heffalumps. I have just finished the ribbing. There's like, for my size, there's like 2 short rows. Very few. So I've done the short rows and it is now time to start the lace section. Hopefully there will be more of this to look at very soon, but it is small. So that's April project number 1. And then April project number 2 is an Adriata tank top by I don't want to mispronounce the designer's name. I'll put it on the screen. I have no confidence. But you can see I'm working on the back piece. You can already see the like pattern emerging here, and I'm so excited. So with this is the second installment of my Seasons of Narnia. I have a real seasonal thing going right now. Whatever. So the Paul Klee is winter in Narnia. Okay, and part of this is because I got the 2024 Advent from Through the Wardrobe Yarn Co. And it was a Narnia theme. And it was called Back Through the Wardrobe. And the way that Selena had organized it, oh no, there it is. I thought the little sharp spiky thing on my coffee cup was gone, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I was like, no. Whatever. I did not sleep well last night at all. And I shorted myself on sleep Sunday night. So we're not doing well in the like sleep category. Anyway, the way that Selena had organized the Back Through the Wardrobe Advent was her mood boards were seasonal. So she had 6 colors that were winter in Narnia. She had, 6 colors that were spring, 6 colors for summer, and 6 colors for autumn. And they all fade together, but that was like the inspiration behind it. And I started being like, seasonal projects to go with the seasonal Narnia breakdown would be kind of cool. So we're on spring. Spring is a tank top. I live in a very hot place, so even spring can get quite warm. We've already had a 90-degree couple of days, and it is, however, a DK weight tank top. And this Advent is going to be the other half of the project that I use all the spare yarn from an Advent in Wonderland for, so I need to not just like burn it all up in this project. Originally, Selena had said that she planned to do a pre-order for the different seasons of Narnia at different times of the year following the Advent. And I think she did do a pre-order for the winter colors. But I think her plans really shifted over that year, and either I missed it or she never ended up doing a pre-order for the spring colors. So my original plan had been, when she did a pre-order, to order the color number 7, which is basically color 1 of spring, and to hold that double with each of the spring colors and create a fade through the tank top. Color 7 is Turkish Delight, and it's like pink and like a creamy white, and I felt like it went with all of the other colors. Like you could use it as kind of like a background color. So these are, in a bag, sorry, 2, 3, okay. I should have taken them out of the bag, sorry. Febrarch was a messy time, okay? So everything is messy, including this update. Okay, so There you go. So you see what I mean? I figured I could run the pink through them and it would soften the transitions and really work. However, because she didn't do a pre-order or I missed it, I was unable to use Turkish Delight as my kind of like coherent color throughout the fade of the tank top. Thankfully, I took a chance and I confuse these two all the time. It was Golden Hour Knitwear did a dark academia collection, and she has a colorway called Pensive Porcelain. And I was like, I think this is the right creamy white to run with all of these colors. And so that is what I am doing. I am using this throughout the entire tank top. And then I am holding it double with the Spring in Narnia colorways. I have divided the tank top up into 6 bands of color that are equal length across the tank top, and I am doing that. So I'm pretty excited to see how that works out. And that is my Spring in Narnia. And I have just started adding the second colorway, so you can kind of see we're starting to get little bits of purple with the pink in those last couple of rows. And so that is that. Okay, so those are my April projects. 1, 2, 3, AM, PM commuting. Tag. Now I wanted to talk acquisition. I did not do this for January, but I figured, hey, I've acquired a decent amount of yarn and I want to talk about it. So let's. All right. There's also a lot of lawn care and like construction noises happening in my neighborhood, so hopefully that's not too distressing. All right, February yarn arrivals. Now, I will say, not all of these things I bought at this time because some of the things were purchased last year and are pre-orders that are on a long timeline, so we didn't receive them until now. Totally great. So the first thing I got was, first thing I received in February was all of the tarot minis from Dymad Yarn. And the reason that I started looking at their yarn, I may have been aware of them at some point, but I hadn't really looked at their stuff, is because of this very important colorway. And I was looking at various people who were offering things when Minnesota was really starting to get bad. And also, please check on Minnesota. I don't think anything is over in this day and age, so it's just fallen out of collective consciousness a little bit more. Side note. So I was looking and I came across this, and they also had a red color that I thought the name of was very appropriate. And I thought I was showing up so much darker, truer on the camera right now than it does in person, I think. Anyway, I wanted to also get a red for a Melt the Ice hat. I was like on the fence. I was like, do I want to knit in a red? There's a conversation about red hats, and like how that's kind of like maybe weird, but also let's just reclaim the color. Like they don't get to own red. So, okay. I got a color that had the appropriate name that also happens to be a Minnesota style blue, and I got a red, and I got them both on sock weight, different types of sock weight. Yeah, and I was like, one of these will likely become the hat and the other can become whatever. And if I like the red enough, maybe it will be my Alice Card Party sock red, whatnot. Like sock yarn for me is the most versatile thing I can get. So we got these two babies from Dymad Yarns. because as I started looking at all their yarn, I was like, they have a tarot collection, which is something I've kind of been looking for. And it seemed like the perfect fit for the anthology throw that I wanted to make for my sacred space. And they had them in minis, which is even better because 24 or more colors in full skeins gets really expensive. So, but some tarot collections or like oracle type collections, I just wasn't finding that all the colors were available or that you could get them in smaller amounts than a whole 100-gram skein of every colorway. So, and I liked all their colors, and I was like, grand. I'm gonna get all of my oracle yarn, and also at the same time, I'm going to get some yarn, proceeds of which are going to support people who are enduring the terrible things that are going on. So that was my biggest yarn order in February. And then we had, I think this one came next. Plies and Hellhounds is doing a Wheel of the Year collection this year, and I am so excited. So they're coming out spaced out through the year, like the Wheel of the Year is. And the in bulk colorway was put up for pre-order and then shipped out. So I had to get that. I got it on the Selkie base, which is the only like fingering weight sock base that she is offering for this collection. It's merino and silk. I honestly have no idea what I'm actually doing with all 8 colors, and I probably will just wait and see until I get all 8 colors what I'm going to do with them. But I also have been wanting a Wheel of the Year collection, and I'm very excited to have it. So that is part of that. Then I had Madeline Tosh points to use up, and sorry, hiccup. And I knew what I wanted to get. I have been working on planning a doppio, and I already have the fluff for it, and I knew that this was one of the fingering colors that I wanted to hold with it. So I got Tosh Pebble in Kenergy. I'm so excited. I have never knit a doppio before, and I'm like probably going off the deep end with my color combination, but I'm so excited about this. I'm kind of like, yeah, but I had no idea what the third color was going to be. So I ordered the Madeline Tosh so that I would make sure that I used my Tosh points, because it's not an inexpensive yarn bibby, and I had to have 3 because these are only 25-gram skeins, and I'm on the smaller end of the size scale for a lot of sweaters, especially because I don't enjoy a lot of positive ease in most of my sweaters. I will probably make some oversized ones at some point, but I don't have so many that they're not like precious special objects. And for like a precious special thing, I want it to be like this standalone, this like statement piece on its own, and that means fitted for me. That's just how I prefer to wear things. So we got 3 of these. And then my last acquisition in February, my husband, when he has been traveling for his new job, he has been finding a local yarn store and bringing me a thing because he is a very good yarn husband. And he brought me this vintage jar color of Utopia on their Wisco sock. And this is my missing doppio color. So we're gonna hold this with this, and then I have a fluff, and it's gonna be bright and exciting, and I'm super excited, but I was like, yay. So that was February. Okay, March acquisitions. So, yeah. Okay, so the first thing I received in March was my Dark Academia pre-order, and Pensive Porcelain is already in a project, but it was a skein of the Pensive Porcelain, and then this is called Tailored Thesis. This I got on a DK base, and I am hoping that this goes with my Christmas stocking colors, because I don't have any of the navy blue that I used when I knit my Christmas stockings. Left. And that's a problem because someday I will have another dog and I will need to knit a fourth stocking, and I don't have one of the colors. So I'm really hoping that this will work. I don't know until I pull the Christmas stockings out, but that is what this is for. So it actually has a purpose, providing that works. Then Explorer Knits and Fibers has been doing a sample of the month this year, and some of the colors that they have brought back for sample of the month are colors that I need for my blanket that I want to knit for our library, but they haven't really been offering them on like a DK base and the colors I need simultaneously. But one of the months, it must have been March, the March sample of the month, I guess people asked for the DK to also be an option, even though the pattern doesn't use the DK yarn, and they said, okie dokie. So I was able to get Formaggio and Balsamico. So those two are two of the colors I was missing for my blanket. So they also have a purpose. And then because my husband brought me a skein of this, and I was like, dope-yo. I needed a second skein, so I actually found a way to order from Utopia, and I ordered a second skein of the vintage jar colorway to use in my dope-yo. And then finally, this is so much yarn. It's okay, it's okay. Lots of it already has purposes. I think just the two skeins of Dymad, the Plies and Hellhounds, and this one aren't already slated for something. Okay, so Fantasy Fibers did a Pie Day yarn, and I love pie. I love Pie Day, and I love this show. So Marissa used Pushing Daisies as her Pie Day inspiration this year, and I love the show so much. And I was like, how can I not get the Pushing Daisies color? And then when I went to order, because I sort of like missed the window, and she didn't have any sock yarn left, and I was like, no. And then I just sort of decided to go for it. So what I ended up with instead is this Ménage à Trois fingering yarn, which is merino, cashmere, and silk. And it is so moody and delicious. So this is the pie hole colorway. And then we have 3 Plum Pie. Also so good. And my plan is to use these two together and to knit a grimoire tee. So they also technically have a plan. It was a new project. Not an existing project that I needed to get yarn for. It's a new project, but it's fine. And I figured while I was there, I've been wanting this colorway for a really long time. So this is actually from, I think last year, her Pie Day colorways that she did. She did Farmer Maggot's mushroom pie and then Amita Muscana. Amita Muscana, the poisonous mushroom. So it's a really deep red. This one leans a little more like brick red. And I had to get this on a DK because she didn't have any sock yarn left. But again, I was like, maybe this will be my melt the ice hat. I feel like I'm still on a quest for the red that feels right. Like the dye mat color feels a little too pinky carmine. And this one feels like a little bit too brick red, but maybe a brick red is what I want. It's kind of got that vintage red flannelish feel, although it's a lot more bricky than that, but whatnot. This one does not have plants. So I guess that's only 4 skeins out of 2, 4, 6, 8, 9-ish, 9.5, 10.5. 4 skeins out of 10.5 plus 24 minis, which is like another almost 5 skeins. So 10.5, 15.5 skeins, and only 4 of them don't have purposes. That's not bad. That's like a third. So anyway, that is my March yarn acquisition. Okay, I'm just gonna have to ignore some hanging threads. Like I said, I haven't done ends, I haven't blocked anything. But whatever, I'm excited to have garments. Not that I can wear them, but it's fine. So the only other thing to talk about is the bin. Okay, the bin has not changed that much except what was already in there in January. So the Voyage cardigan, I'm still really nervous about that steek, and I haven't had time to hand sew all of my reinforcement on. Really wish I had a sewing machine. It'd take like 5 minutes. It's taking forever by hand, and I'm annoyed. So that is still in the bin. And the Cozy McBlanket, which is scheduled, it's on the schedule to finish later this year, and the Bone Season socks, also on the schedule to finish this year. All of those things I showed in January, and we talked about them, so I'm not going to do it again in Febrarch, okay? It seems really redundant to me. If you don't watch January, I guess you're missing out. I have added one thing to the bin, and that is the Wally Breton in the Scorpio colorways. That one is not on the schedule, but I want to rescue it from the bin and do the sleeves as soon as I can like fit it in. But I don't want to put the rest of my like plans on hold in order to do that. So that's part of why it is just residing in the bin for now. And that's really, I think that's everything. Yeah. I have hope that I'll be back on track. Right now I'm behind one day on the Pavo tee, and I am behind the most on my socks. But hopefully over a couple of weekends, maybe I can knock out quite a few rows and get the socks back on track, and then I would be like back on track. And May was planned to be a light knitting month because I originally thought we were going to be taking vacation. Unfortunately, with everything like going on, I don't know really what we're doing for vacation, but we know that we're not going to do what we entered this year thinking we were going to do. So the likelihood that anything happens in May, slim to none. which means that I'll probably have more knitting time. Because vacation usually takes 2 or 3 weeks where I don't take knitting with me. So bittersweet, I guess. If I'm still behind, then I can catch up. If I'm not behind, I can either get ahead or finish some sleeves or just work on this anthology throw or this Ansadora. I have so many options. Anyway, if you have come for this yarn wrap up and made it all the way through to this point, thank you so much for sticking with me. And hopefully this brings a little bit of joy and levity into a dark and trying time that we are all living through. Stay safe, support your community, check on your neighbors, make sure your family is okay. And I mean family in the broader sense. And yeah, I will be sharing little happy bits from my life as much as I can, because that's one of the ways that I can contribute. So until April, I will see you later.